Three scenarios for the future of South Korea. We are gonna talk about the first scenario, unification of North and South Korea. South Korea and North Korea unification will open a new tourism market with new destination and relationship between both countries. North Korea is still really wide and undeveloped country, so to gain an economical advantage and increase profit from tourism and hospitality industry, South Korea will need to invest in North Korea and create partnership. First, safety and legislation will need to be improved. North Korea is known as an unsafe destination and her really bad treatment on her population. Work camps are still remaining and poverty and famine are one of the main problems. The country will need to provide a good environment for the population, which will improve the visions of international tourists to come to visit North Korea. North Korea will need to open her border and accept to receive tourists and simplify visa policy and administration. Transportation has a main influence in touristic development, and North and South Korea will need to create new airports, airplane link, buses, train between both countries. A new railway will be created between North and South Korea, creating the works in 2015 to link the industrial areas between the both countries. After so many changes, South Korea will have the responsibility to train North Korean workers to receive tourists and what is their international needs in holidays. Most North Korean doesn't have a proper education and never had a relationship with foreigners before, so it will be a big challenge to make them welcoming for foreigners, tourists in their country and be able to be professional face to intercultural differences. Communication and internet will need to be developed as well, because in our 21st century, internet is a main factor to increase hospitality and tourism markets, and it will be essential to attract tourists in the country. North and South Korea want to create new national park, and the DMZ, which is the military zone between the both countries, would be the perfect place because more than 1,200 varieties of plants and thousands of animal species, including endemic species, are living there. So this is the reason why South Korea is already pushing North Korea in order to create an eco-park for the both countries. By opening the border, South Korea could get new market. In fact, North Korean will come in the country to visit remain friends and family and to discover or rediscover what was Korea before. And international tourists will love to travel in North Korea or South Korea or both countries in order to discover the new cultural aspects, sceneries, national parks, gastronomy, and so on. Tourists will also come from China. In this scenario, the main important aspect will be to provide a safe environment and better relationship between the both countries, remaining peace and economic exchange, which will beneficiate for both of them. Let's talk about the second scenario, consequences of climate change. The consequences of climate change will cause the rise of water level, and South Korea will be surrounded by the sea. The coastline will totally change in the next 50 years, and most part of population will move to live on higher altitude in the mountain. South Korea will have trouble to remain purity of the air due to the chemical cloud coming from China. It's already a main concern from Health Department of South Korea, which is really concerned about chemical and pollutions coming from China and that no one can stop. The water will need to be treated and checked. Most people will get disease in their lungs. To improve tourism sectors, South Korea will have the responsibility to communicate to the tourists about safety policy and provide free masks against air pollution. New vaccine will be invented to stop the effect of new disease due to the bad air environment. But the scenario is not apocalyptic. Due to the rising water, South Korea will be able to develop new tourism trips and activities focused on water activities. South Korea will be able to support and develop scuba diving sector and snorkeling activities. The situation will force the population to move to higher place, will be an opportunity to develop sustainable techniques of architecture to be in harmony with the mountain areas and better match with the natural environment. Eco-friendly transportation will be created, as electric tuk-tuk or electric bus. If following the first scenarios, North Korea and South Korea will open their barrier, it will become an incredible opportunity to get the Chinese market increasing. Chinese tourists will be able to cross the border by train, bus or car, and this event will decrease the flights between China and South Korea and will reduce consistently pollution and CO2 rejection. South Korea will be able to attract more and more tourists and in the same time reduce the impact of the environment. South Korean engineering industry is well known in the world too, so I'm sure that Korean engineers will invent new technology to facilitate international tourist life during their travel. Communication will keep improved and tourists will be able to know the weather before to book their travel, to have robots to carry their luggage for them, etc. The third but not the last scenario is an epidemic virus. Due to an epidemic virus, South Korea would have developed underground cities and will have to develop a new kind of tourism. South Korea will keep to improve the medical tourism as plastic surgery market. Official South Korean tourist organization called KTO expects medical tourist numbers to reach 998,000 people in 2020, which with such big numbers, the revenue from medical tourism is expected to jump to 3.5 trillion won. It predicts that the number of medical tourists from foreign countries could reach around 1 million people in 2020. The key reason for these increasing numbers and this prediction is the growing popularity of Korea's medical service in foreign countries, particularly in China. The China Daily reported that 62% of 31,000 Chinese people who went in South Korea for a 15 days medical tourism visa was for the reason of making plastic surgery. Tourism facilities and shopping malls can be created to attract tourists and push them to purchase valuable items in the country. South Korea can as well increase sport activities concerning caving and canyoning, so foreigners would be able to practice sports in a safe environment and underground. The Hallyu, or called as well the Korean wave, referring to the Korean pop culture phenomenon, is gaining a great popularity all around the world. It includes Korean dramas and movies, but as well the filming location and the music industry. K-pop will increase consistently to become a huge influence in every people's life. We can take the example of Psy with Gangnam Style, which has been the YouTube video with the most of viewers. Around 1 billion of people have been listening this song and watching the music video, and this representing the influence of the Hallyu in the world. Having Korean pop music will continue to attract more tourists, and South Korea will continue to export their image through this system. South Korea would be as well able to develop movies and cultural aspects. Artistic conference and exhibition, architecture are becoming more and more famous, and the architects are well known all around the world. Korea would be able as well to develop the MICE Tourism, organizing events, conference, forum, or professional meeting. The country will invest in the construction of hotel and infrastructure to welcome international tourists the best way possible. And for transportation, an undersea tunnel will be created so people will be able to cross ocean and the Yellow Sea to access to the country. Finally, we can say that in this scenario, the government will need to have a medical policy and to provide advice for the international visitors to have good holidays in Korea. Free mask and antibacterial clothes will be given to the people entering the border, and border check will be mandatory. As everyone knows, South Korean engineers are one of the best in the world, so it can be an advantage to develop new technology and attract more tourists interested about high technology, robotic, or science for the future. Due to these three scenarios, we can see that the evaluation of the different perspective of evolution in the country shows that South Korea has big opportunities to keep developing its tourism industry and attract tourists from all around the world with multiple activities. To succeed, South Korea will need to adapt its offer to the needs of tourism and always anticipate changes that will impact this industry. It's important to innovate and always give the best service possible. In 50 years, South Korea has been one of the countries that have been able to radically develop its offer, facilities and economy, and there is no doubt that there are still so many improvements possible remaining.